Governor, Jeff Tomich with the Post-Dispatch. Where did the 2% figure come from? How is that derived?
We think it's a doable, measurable goal. Obviously, we'd like to exceed it, but we wanted to put both a short-term and long-term goal in place that we felt like we could accomplish. If after we get into the process we see we can do more, then we'll do another executive order asking for more. But I wanted to guarantee that we could see tangible, provable gains year one. I think that on all of this sort of stuff, if we can begin to make gains and then come back in year two and explain to people that what that did is not only create jobs and weatherization, what that did is not only change a culture, but it also saved taxpayers money. And begin to incent that behavior in the governmental sector, we think it'll have a lot to do with beginning to incent that behavior in the private sector as well.
Governor, are we talking about changing thermostats and driving fewer vehicles, or what are we talking about?
Each one of the buildings and each one of the departments will come up with their separate plans. The Office of Administration and the Design and Construction, as well as Mark's department, will work with them to do that. There's lots of ways to do it. Whether it's thermostats, whether it is passive solar, whether it is closing windows at various times, whether it's shifts of work at various times that will save dollars. All sorts of the whole menu of options. That's why the first part of this, really, quite frankly, the easiest. I mean, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there. So year one, we will be doing some very, very basic things, carpooling, all things like that we think can get us started. But once again, this isn't just a 1 year. We've laid out a 10-year goal here. We're hope to exceed our goal in year one, but this will save taxpayer dollars and make a difference for the conservation efforts.
How do you plan to keep your agencies accountable?
Well, they got to deal with me. I'm the governor. You know, because if they don't, well, I mean, we will make them do it. I mean, we will. That's the great thing about having. You know, if I say we're going to cut 2% of energy, then we are going to cut 2% of energy. You know, we're going to do it. I mean, how do I hold them accountable? I make sure they do it. We check it monthly. We make sure that they've got plans doing it, and we monitor those numbers so that we can verify and show the public how it's actually done.
Are you asking lawmakers to join with you in this, in their offices?
If they talked a little less, I think it would help some of the energy. This is we'll deal with the state buildings. I think that this is an executive function. We manage the executive agencies. They report to me. We want to lead in this regard. We certainly need the legislature's help in many other things, but on this one, I think it's a management function of the executive branch.
I know the state of Illinois, I think a couple of years ago, required utilities to reduce energy demand on behalf of their customers to find ways to do it. Do you plan to take this further and take it to make it a statewide initiative and require utilities to find ways to reduce their customers' energy use?
Well, I think if we can change the law this year, as I indicated before, and say that conservation is allowed to be part of the rate base, so that if you save energy, that counts as much for you on the rate base as producing energy, that in and of itself is a shift that Missouri's ready for. That's a shift that, I mean, if a company can save, you know, 50 megawatts of power rather than building another plant that produces 50 megawatts of power, that's a really good thing for everybody. It's cleaner. It's you know, all the jobs to do the retrofitting and everything like that are done by Missourians. So that piece, that longer term piece, that's a substantial shift from where we are now. I mean, Missouri does not reward through the possibility of better returns conservation, and we want to see that shift. I mean, the Senate is moving that bill now, and we're hopeful that bill gets to my desk.
So currently utilities really have a disincentive for their customers to conserve.
They're just if they build a plant, you know, then they get a rate of return off of that expense.
Right.
If they don't build a plant, they don't get any benefit. I mean, so while you know, and in these times, I mean, it's just extremely important to look at how these regulatory schemes that were designed and defined 50 years ago, how they don't relate to the reality of today. And I think incenting conservation by the power companies is an important step that Missouri needs to take, and needs to take quickly.
Governor, a little off topic, but Ameren, as we speak, is having a press conference in St. Louis this morning, and we're hearing word that in response to the legislature's movement that there's talk that maybe they may be scuttling the Callaway 2 plant in its entirety. Are you aware of that scenario, and what's your response?
I don't know what they're going to say this morning. I've also heard they're going to talk to the public this morning. I assume they will. You know, I've said from the very beginning, from the beginning of this process, I thought it was a two-step process, not a one-step process. That putting us in line to be in line to get a nuclear plant is a good thing for the state of Missouri. But that with this economy at this time, repealing all of the consumer protections and CWIP, and just passing instantaneously that cost on, especially when the board of directors of Ameren had not even yet voted to move forward or had been awarded the license. I thought in this structure that the best thing to do was bifurcate the process, work with them to put them in line to get that license. And if they got that license and had that ability to build it, they're going to have to do it with some sort of consortium anyway. They don't have a heavy enough lift with their market cap to finance that anyway. But adding whatever number you want to use, and it's very hard to tell what the numbers are, 15, 20, 30, 40% to businesses and individuals' bills in the short run here at this economy right now, I don't think it's the right thing to do. But I had hoped that everyone involved would have looked at it in a two-step process. I think a number of senators and House members have. I don't think Ameren ever has absorbed that point, and I think that comments from some of the senators this morning that were reported in the Post-Dispatch reflect that they came in with a position, and that position never really shifted to the realities of the economy we face and to the realities of us wanting to help, but being not in a position to scrap all the consumer protections in the past, or to scrap or to add to dramatically to bills. Also, I mean, a number of significant users of power, other than individuals and homes, have also been very outspoken in this regard. And I think in this economy, it's difficult to cost shift these numbers, especially when Ameren hasn't made a formal decision by the board even to build, and then obviously the NRC has not awarded the license.
Would pulling out of that project entirely be, at this point, be an overreaction on their part?
I mean, I don't want. They're a for-profit company that can make decisions how they want. I mean, I thought we laid out a clear parameter to them about how we could continue moving forward on this project with help and assistance, while not so that they, at some point later in time, if they in fact got that license, they'd have an option to choose how to finance it. It is what it is. I mean, and we have done a lot of power things in the state without repealing CWIP before. I mean, I-10-2, a $2 billion project, was built on a different financial model. So there's lots of ways to do this, but we have not seen much play in the joints from them. I've tried to be creative here. The two-step process we laid out, I think, is a doable one. I think a lot of people thought it was doable, and so we'll see where that leads.
It's time for one more question.
You mentioned weatherization and replacement of light fixtures and so forth, heating and cooling. Do you have a capital improvement budget at all for this year? Or?
Yeah, as part of the and once again, I hate to be really boring here, but I want to make sure that I'm in the process, while we're on a college campus, of giving like budget, ARRA, Recovery Act 101 information first. There's two pots of money here. There's stabilization money, and that money is designed to help us pay the state bills because of the downturn in the economy, that for health care and education. Then there's stimulus money. That's separate. These are two separate avenues of money. In the stimulus area, the state of Missouri will receive north of $50 million for weatherization as a one-time infusion of dollars over the next 12 to 24 months. Director Templeton and his team have led the way in applying to make sure that our process is as good as any's in the country. We're working now, he's working cooperatively with education institutions across the state, worker training, to make sure we have the workers and the companies trained and authorized to do this. And we're also going to, we've got some really exciting proposals, a green zone proposal in Kansas City, where we're going to take an inner city small area and try to really stack some things. But the weatherization dollars, we have a one-time infusion of dollars for weatherization that hasn't been seen in the state of Missouri. Our numbers in that area are usually $4 to $5 million a year. We're literally getting somewhere north of $50 million this year, so a 10-time extra one-time infusion to be spent over the next 2 years. We'll see a lot more trained contractors, more trained folks, and more retrofitting will be happening in the state of Missouri than ever has been.